Well, it just looks like, does looks like gold. If it wasn't for all the dirt I got in it with my brush, this would have just been flawless. Cleaned up this and squirted it down. It's wet right now, but when it dries it'll look just like it is when it's wet. It's just a mirror finish, and since it's specifically made to bond to rust, I'm just going to be able to wire brush my frame, spray it with this stuff, spray it with the first step, and then I'll just try to do it all at once and get it all masked and spray it with an air gun. And if it ruins my air gun, I'll throw it away. I don't care, because this stuff is just beautiful. I never seen a paint like this before, and it's tough. Grinding on it, and it grinds not like metal, but closer to a real tough Bondo or something. So I'm really pleased with this paint. Next part of the project here, while that's drying, is this rear end. I'm going to try to get all of this out. It's really badly pitted. Clean it up, paint it. I've got all kinds of bolts and hangers and God knows what this guy had made this thing for. I'm going to put a tank in it here and another battery box. That one there would never fit with any kind of a tank in it. So I'm just going to cut all of this out and clean it up best I can, and see if I can maybe drop that rear end out and at least take off my traction bars there and clean them up. Might be able to get them painted today. Well, a few cut off wheels, and an hour or so later, got all them brackets out, battery box cut out. Looks much cleaner now than it did. I'm gonna try to unbolt this rear end. I don't know, I ain't got a whole lot of time left before it starts getting dark. Maybe I'll just clean up what I can here. I'll see how rusty my bolts are. If I can get the rear end out, I'll roll it back a bit, wire brush it. If not, I'll just wire brush what I can of this frame and paint it. I used my power brush, brushed what I could get to, and then used my little brush and cleaned up some of it and sprayed it with that de-ruster. If I can get to everything on this frame and clean it up like it's shiny metal, I wouldn't need the de-ruster in the first place. This is what I bought it for, is to try to resolve some of these heavy pits, stuff like that in here. But I'm going to do like it says, soak it down and wash it off with water. It loosens the rust up pretty good. And let it dry, and try to put the paint on this part here, and then I'll see what kind of results I have tomorrow. But I think it'll be alright. That rear end, I can pull it out. I'm not going to do that today. I got this stabilizer bar out. Here is this all seriously pitted stabilizer bar, and I brushed it up and Oh man, it's going to look really good. It's 1,000 times better than it was. So I got high hopes for how it's going to look on the rest of the frame. Well, here we go. I coated this pretty good. On this one in particular, there's a lot of dirt in it. You can see it there. But it really looks good actually. And I saw how well it sanded in the second coat. Just cleans it up beautifully. And on the inside where it was rusted real heavy, it just did a great job in there. I just, this is where I cleaned that rear end up a little. Threw it on there. Looks really good. And considering what this thing is, how bad that rust was, it's a literal miracle. And anywhere that it was pretty smooth, like in here, it's got a mirror finish on it. So anything that's exposed, I can just sand this off with some wet sandpaper like I would normal. Thin it down good and spray it with a gun, and it'll look best paint job you could get. While I was at it here, I was throwing my brushes away. I'm not trying to clean them. And so I did this cross member and put the first coat on it, and it made it look really nice. Frame's going to be beautiful. Same thing again. The second coat here on the spring and on the cross member, just beautiful. Get a close up here of the weld I ground down. It just looks like $1,000,000. I got little spots of dirt in it, but again, this will be just a simple matter of knocking off the dirt with some sandpaper and spraying this stuff one time so there won't be any dirt in it, and it'll flow out just perfect. So by far this is the best product that I've ever tried. I'm real impressed by it. I'm not trying to sell it or anything, but and then on top of that, you know, you can beat it with a hammer and it won't chip it. So it's definitely a good frame paint. I've maybe used 1.5 inches out of that gallon. I got enough here to completely do everything in the whole car. I went over and all of my tools that rusted up. I've got chisels and screwdrivers and miscellaneous stuff. I did that all. Here's my stabilizer bar. It looks pretty good. And this was seriously rusted up. I mean, big old giant holes in it. And it looks like, you know, not bad at all. My frame's all dry and it looks good. Well, that's what it kind of looks like. Really looks sweet. You would never think such a beautiful thing would come out of such a trashy pile. But it did. So I can't cover it up because I don't want that tarp on top of it, but I think everything will be fine the way it is. Supposed to rain tomorrow. Maybe I'll figure out some way of putting this tarp over it, but it's dust free right now. Some of it is. Again, I don't really care. If it does, I'm going to sand it and paint it again anyway. Anyway, good day's work. We got it, front third of it painted, the spring all back together. And at this point I can start putting on my spindles and everything.